Okay, my name's Randy, so there's a couple you I don't know. I'm the head physiologist here. Primarily what I'm going to talk about is something called General Adaptation Syndrome. Developed by a guy, his name's Hans Selye, he's Canadian. Baseline, okay? No. You apply a stimulus or a stressor. You have a decrease in a particular hormone or enzyme or whatever it is, and eventually it'll begin to increase again, and it actually overshoots. Okay, now, the whole reason I brought this whole thing up is because of this particular reason. So here we are, we apply a stressor, we have a decrease in whatever it is. A lot of times we're obviously talking about performance or training ability, so you're in a recovery mode here. Then you kind of shoot up and over. Okay, so this is called supercompensation. This is called recovery. It's called fatigue. Clear so far? All right, so our stressor in this particular environment is exercise. Okay, reality is the whole theory is based off mental stress, but it is applied directly to physical stress. The body doesn't really know any difference between mental and physical. A lot of the reactions are the same, a lot of the responses are the same, so it kind of follows a really, really similar pattern. It's not exact, but it's really similar. All right? So here we are. You apply a stressor, exercise, and yes, it is a stressor. You go through fatigue, you recover, you supercompensate, and the ideal scenario, what you really want to do, which is really hard to do, is you want to, right on when it starts to peak out here, you actually try to apply another stressor. All right? So in other words, if I draw a smaller pattern, so fatigue, recovery, supercompensation. Okay, and apply a stressor here. Okay, fatigue, recovery, supercompensation. Apply a stressor. Fatigue, recovery, supercompensation. Apply another stressor. So you kind of get the picture. Adaptation. With me so far? Okay, now, here's the deal. The issue is, this can go very wrong. Okay, so many times it wrong. An athlete doesn't communicate to their coach. Athlete says flat chat tired. He's completely flat. He's tired. He can't do anything. He's having trouble getting out of bed. Coach goes, how you doing? I'm doing great, coach, thanks. So coach hammers you. Okay? You get the idea. You start going down because what you do is that you're over here, you're just starting to recover, and then coach hits you again, and then all of a sudden, again, if we do this whole scenario, hit you right here, so then you go down here, and instead of you hit you right here. All right, so now you're kind of going down. Unfortunately, this is all too common. What happens? Overreached, which isn't that bad, because we kind of do it on purpose, but it's also overtraining. If this continues for too long a period, it takes too long to get out. And your season's either screwed or the particular race you're trying to ram for is messed up. Okay, so everybody kind of follow me so far. All right, now, let's apply this to a little bit different situation. So obviously this is kind of this can be a day. This can happen within a day. It can happen within, let's say, a 2-day cycle, because a lot of times you have 2 training sessions a day. Some athletes, like triathletes and other people like this who have multiple events, they can actually do 3 sessions a day. All right? So this is kind of what the process looks like. So you do an exercise session like you're in the gym. You really hammer yourself. You're really tired. And usually you'll rock up the next day and you do it again. Right now this is a day, let's say. But let's apply it to a training week. Okay, now, so what we have here is a typical scenario of what you might be familiar with is blocks. So Monday is right here. Tuesday is right here. Wednesday is right here. And then all of a sudden you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, day off. Okay, so off. Maybe 2 days off. So again, what you have here is continuous improvement in stimulus, which is the fatigue state. Then you back off on your training, which is the recovery state. You have some days off, which is supercompensation. Everybody got that one? Okay, now let's talk about months. So what's a typical month pattern? Very similar. Periodization is where I'm kind of headed. All right, so what we have here is month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4. So what you have here is stimulus, recovery time, supercompensation. You start all over again. The next block, second block. So obviously you see the pattern. So periodization basically starts looking like this, and it keeps building. Another recovery week. So that's 4-week blocks, 13 blocks in a year, periodization. So all this stuff follows the same principle. Everybody with me? Anybody confused? Petey? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so now let's back this up another time. Quad cycle. Everybody know what a quad cycle is. So Olympic cycle. Year 1, year 2, year 3, and Olympic year. So you see, everybody follow me so far. So General Adaptation Syndrome, or the way the body reacts and adapts to the stress, is basically how periodization and everything else has been applied. Okay, now, it's really easy to put up on a chalkboard and talk about it. But in application, it's not so friendly. So, how do you know when this happens? All the tests that you guys use, a threshold test, time trials, lactates, morning heart rates, orthostatic test, which is essentially from lying to standing or sitting to standing. We use all these different tests, okay? The pickle is that everybody's different. So there's no tried and true method. It doesn't work. So what works for you is the opposite for him, is the opposite for her. And this is where it gets really tough, because essentially it comes down to this. And I've worked with some, I'm not taking credit for a lot of this, I've worked with some really, really high quality coaches, okay? And one thing is true, always. The athlete knows themselves backwards and forwards. They know what's going on in their body. They know how they feel, and they're applying it, okay? Most of the athletes got there because they had a good coach and pushed them. All right? It's not as easy as I wish I was making it sound. So hopefully you're getting the gist of that. It's difficult. So right now I have a junior athlete here, and I'm basically hammering this particular young man to figure out his body. So he's basically he's doing exactly what his coach tells him to do. He's an incredible, young, talented kid. Got a huge engine. He's cross-country skier, but he overthinks stuff. He just doesn't really pay attention to what's going on with him. He pays attention to what's going on with other people. So he overtrained last year. He kind of started skiing with guys who are a lot better than him, because that's very common for a junior to do. So now we're trying to say, okay, it's not about skiing with that particular person or this particular person. It's about how you feel and how you ski. So you ski the way you ski, and you need to figure out the ins and outs of this whole thing. And this is where it gets tricky, because obviously athletes tend to be very strong-willed. They're very competitive. They want to win. So all these things tend to get in your own way. Okay, so you got to step back a lot of times. Coaches, physiologists, PTs, or athletic trainers, or whatever you want to call them, they help you figure out your body. You got an ache and a pain, you go to them, they tell you, oh, this, that, and the other thing, this is what you need to do to get it fixed. Same thing with me. Oh yeah, I want to do this and this and this, but I'm not quite sure how to get there. Okay, try this, this, and this. The whole process of you being an athlete is to figure out what's going on, what affects you positively, what affects you negatively, and then this whole cycle will start to come to bear.